our Adhisthana Grantha, the fundamental text, is Vedam. Vedam, Bhagavan Veda Vyasa, structured into 4 Vedas. But our fundamental text is Veda. And in the Vedam, there are 4 parts. The Mantra Bhagam, Brahmana Bhagam, Aranyaka Bhagam, and the Upanishad Bhagam. Maybe the part, Brahmana part, Aranyaka part, Upanishad part, and the Mantra part. Mantra part, if you see, it is all about the prayer. Why do we do the prayer? Prayer is for getting the blessings. Blessing to favor us. Brahmana Bhagam, otherwise it's called as the Karma Kandam. That is where we talk about Karma Yoga in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Karma executed as Karma Yoga. The Karma Kanda. That is the second part. The Aranyaka Bhagam is all about the Upasana, the meditation. The stillness that we need to have in our mind. Why the stillness is needed? The distracted mind cannot see the reality behind the mind. Mind is still an upadhi. Where the mind gets the real force, the real capability of the mind. That is where the mind has to get stilled. So we need the upasana to see the truth within us. That is where the Aranyaka Bhagam, the part or the portion, stresses upon the upasana yoga. And the Upanishad part, the last part, talks about the jnana yoga, the knowledge about ourselves. Bhagavad Gita as the Shastram is referred by Bhagavan Bhashyagaran Adi Shankara Bhagavad-pada as Idam Gita Shastram Samasta Vedartha Sara Sangraha Bhudam Durvijneyartham. So this is the Veda Upanishad Sara Sangraha. Concise, very small work in 700 verses. So in this modern age, we all are struggling with different priorities and finding time. Everyone needs quick resolutions, quick solutions. Time is very difficult for us to get. So there is difficulty in all of us to study all the Vedas and different Upanishads. Though we say 108 Upanishads, there are much more Upanishads. Who is having time? So that is where Bhagavan Bhashyagaran says that at least minimum you learn Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita comes inside the great text Mahabharata that is comprised of 1 lakh verses with 18 parvas. Bhagavad Gita comes inside the Bhishma Parva of Bhagavad Gita. And these Dhyana Slokas today we chanted, these are the contributions of Acharya Madhusudana Saraswati. Before writing the commentary for the Bhagavad Gita, Acharya Madhusudana Saraswati made these verses. So the commentary of Acharya Madhusudana Saraswati is Gudhartha Deepika. These 9 verses basically sets an auspicious beginning with a prayer. That's what I said in the beginning. Prayer plays a major role. Prayer is to invoke blessings. Prayer is to remove the obstacles. In order to get the best utilization of the Shastram, these initial verses, these 9 verses, that talks about, or these prayers are about what? These prayers are to Mahabharata, to Bhagavad Gita as the mother of wisdom, to Vyasa Bhagavan, the author, and Bhagavan Krishna, who is the reason for this knowledge. Not only for Arjuna, this knowledge is basically for us. We all are Arjunas. Right? So the first verse is Parthaya, Om Parthaya Pradibodhidam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gradidam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaita Varshinim Bhagavadim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandhadami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini. O Divine Mother Bhagavad Gita, I invoke you, I pay respect to you as the Divine Mother Bhagavad Gita, who is invoked by Lord Narayana himself. Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam. Lord Narayana himself appeared in the form of Bhagavan Krishna for Arjuna. When we say for Arjuna, it is for all of us. And where this Gita is coming? Madhye Mahabharatam by Purana Munina. Incorporated in the Mahabharata, in the great text Mahabharata, by the Purana Muni, by the sage Vyasa, Bhagavan Veda Vyasa, Advaita Amrita Varshinim Bhagavadim Ashtadashadhyayinim, having 18 chapters, the nectar of non-duality. The nectar of non-duality, meaning the nectar of the highest truth. This is the only truth, and this truth is within us. Realizing this truth is the ultimate goal of human beings. So, incorporated in the Mahabharata by sage Vyasa, showering the nectar of the Advaitam, the non-duality, the highest truth, for what? For overcoming what? Overcoming the samsara, overcoming the deficiencies, the inner deficiencies that one feel due to the world. So, I invoke, this is the Dhyanam to Bhagavad Gita as the Shastram, as the mother, who is the Nimittam for Arjuna through Veda Vyasa and through Bhagavan Krishna, where Lord Narayana himself appeared to overcome the problems of samsara faced by Arjuna, Tadwara, for all of us, ultimately for all of us. The second verse is again invoking Maharshi Vedavyasa. Namostude, Om Namostude Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Bhullara Vindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purna Prajwalito Jnanamaya Pradeepa. Salutation to Vyasa Bhagavan, one with the profound intellect. The intellect of Bhagavan Vedavyasa, where his eyes are like Vishala Buddhe Bhullara Vindayata Patra Netra. Eyes are like soft petals of lotus, by whom the lamp of knowledge filled Yenatvaya Bharata Taila Purna, by whom the lamp of knowledge filled with the oil of Mahabharata, Bharata Taila Purna, Prajwalido Jnanamaya Pradeepa, filled with the oil of Mahabharata, has been lit. Okay, through Vyasa Bhagavan, right, one who is having profound intellect, by whom the lamp of knowledge filled with the oil of Mahabharata has been lit forward for the upliftment of humanity. Next is the Sri Krishna Dhyanam. Om Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetriga Panaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Gita Mritaduhe Namaha. So salutations to Lord Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna, right, who is what? Prapanna Parijataya, right, the one, the wishful, fulfilling tree, to whom Totra Vetriga Panaye, to those who take refuge or surrender or prapatti or sharanagati in him. Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya, Totra Vetriga Panaye, Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya, who holds a whip in one hand. Whip meaning, here we have to understand, control in one of his hands. Lord Krishna is shown here as the one who has control in one of the hands, and the other hand is showing the Jnana Mudra, the symbol of knowledge. One hand shows the whip that symbolizes the control, and the other shows the Jnana Mudra, the symbol of knowledge. Right? Gita Mritaduhe Nama. So, the milker of the nectar of Gita. So through Bhagavan Krishna, the Vedanta Sara Sangraham comes through the Bhagavad Gita, who himself is shown as the embodiment of the ultimate knowledge, the Jnana Mudra and control. And who will be the beneficiaries of this knowledge? The people who take refuge, the people who take surrender in that Lord. For them, this knowledge will flow through Bhagavan Gita. And the Gita Shastram comes as our knowledge, Tadvara, the Vijnanam, the wisdom. Now, next verse. Om Sarvo Vanishado Gavo Dhokta Gopala Nandana Partho Valsa Sudhir Bhokta Duktham Gita Mridam Mahad. So Upanishad, so Sarva Upanishad, Sarvo Upanishado Gavo. So here the Upanishad is considered as the cows, and Krishna is the one who milks, and Arjuna, Partho Valsa Sudhir Bhokta, Arjuna as the calf. The men of pure intellect are Dugdham Gidamridam Mahad, Partho Valsa Sudhir Bhokta, Dugdham Gidamridam Mahad. So the Viveki, the men of pure intellect, the Viveki in the sense the one who has discriminative capability. Discriminative capability we'll see later, but for the interest of all of you, you need to understand that the one who has got the clarity that what is permanent and what is not permanent in this life. The men of pure intellect are the enjoyers of this milk. What is the milk here? Bhagavad Gita as the milk. Again, salutations to Lord Krishna. Om Vasudeva Sudam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum. Krishna as the son of Vasudeva, who is the Jagat Guru, who is the universal teacher, who is the destroyer of Kamsa Chanura Mardana, destroyer of Kamsa Chanura, and Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vandem Jagat Guru, who is the supreme bliss of Devaki. I salute you, Lord Krishna. Next, Om Bhishmadrona Jayadrada Jala Gandhara Nilopala Shalyagrahavadi Kripena Vahini Karnena Velakula Ashwadhama Vikarna Khora Magara Duryodhana Vartini Sotirna Khalu Pandavai Rananadi Kaivartaga Keshava. So the battle here Bhishma, Dronatada, Jayadratha Jala, Gandhara, Nilopala. So here those characters. This river is considered the battle river. Let us consider like this. The battle river with Bhishma and Drona as the banks. Two banks will be there for a river, right? Where Bhishma and Drona as the two strong. Jayadratha Jala, Jayadratha as the water, Jala. And Shalyagrahavadi Kripena Vahini, right? Shalya as the Gandhara Nilopala, Shakuni. Shakuni is the king of Gandhara Desha, Gandhara Nilopala. There are two versions. One is Gandhara Nilopala, and in some text you can see Gandhara Nilotpala. There is no problem in using both. Basically, Nilopala or Nilotpala. Nilopala is considered as a rock which is deceiving. Nilotpala is, we can say it's a water lily, blue water lily, right? And in this context, whether it is Nilotpala or Nilopala, the important thing that we have to understand is these both can be considered as deceptive, right? If there is a rock which is inside, you will not be able to see it, correct? This can be deceptive. But otherwise also, if there is a water lily standing up, right? So what we may do is basically we will try to avoid that and go. So in both ways, whether it's a rock or a water lily, here what we need to understand is Shakuni as king of Gandhara as deceptive. Right? These are the challenges, right? Battle river with Bhishma, Drona, Jayadratha, Shakuni, Shalya. Shalya is the crocodile, Kripena, Vahini. Vahini meaning the Kripa as the current, water current. The flow, the huge flow. Karna as the breaker, we can say the wave. Right? Then Ashwadhama Vikarna. They are the Khora Magara, the terrible crocodiles. And Duryodhana Vartini. Duryodhana is the whirlpool. So among all these difficult characters, right, when they are very powerful, they have their own capabilities, even such a fierce river was crossed. Sothirna Khalu Pandavai Renanadi Kaivartaga Keshava. So such a fierce river, meaning the battle was crossed by the Pandavas with the Keshava, with the Krishna as the batsman, as the helper who helped to cross the river, as the batsman or the helmsman. Right? So amidst all these difficult characters and the difficulties, the war of Kurukshetra, was crossed by the Pandavas with the help of Bhagavan Krishna. Next verse. Om Parasharya Vajasarojamamalam Gidhartha Gandhotkadam Nanakhyanagakesaram Harikada Sambodhana Bodhidam Loke Sajjana Shatpadeiraharaha Pebiyamanam Muda Bhuyad Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradhvam Sina Shreyase. So here the Vedavyasa, who is the Parashara Putra, right? So here the lotus flower which is there in the water body, what is that lotus flower? Is the Mahabharata, born in the lake of the words of Vyasa Maharshi, who is son of the Parashara, with what are the contents? With various stories and episodes of Hari, the stories and episodes of Lord Hari, who is the destroyer of the sins of Kali Yuga, right? Kalimala Pradhvam Sin Ashreyase. So who is the destroyer of the sins of Kali Yuga? Whose nectar drunk, right? Pebiya Manam Muda Loge Sajjana Shatpadai Raharaha. Whose nectar is drunk time and again by the bees. Here the bees meaning the noble and the wise people relished happily. Shreyas. So here happy is called as the Shreyas. We will see what is the difference between Shreyas and Prayas later. So here the crux of the matter is the nectar Gita Amridam, right, which is coming in the Mahabharata, in the flow of the words of Vyasa Bhagavan, that depicts various stories or episodes of Lord Hari, who is the destroyer of sins in the Kali Yugam. And this nectar of wisdom is drunk time and again by the noble and wise people, leading them to a happy life. So now the salutations to Bhagavan Krishna again. Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langayade Girim Yatkrupatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. So I salute Madhavan here. Who is Madhavan? Who is the source of supreme bliss, right? Who is the source of supreme bliss, and whose grace makes the dumb to an orator. Mukam karoti vachara. So a fine orator is made, a dumb is made as a fine orator, who eloquent, and a crippled one to climb the mountain, right? Panghum Langayade Girim. So here the important aspect that we have to understand is the Bhagavad Kripa. When we have that, whatever we feel impossible becomes possible. What I will do is I will take the questions at the end if you are okay, because there is recording ongoing. We can do that at the end if you can wait for some time. So Hari, the Krishna, the Lord Krishna, is the source of supreme bliss, whose grace enables a dumb person to become eloquent, a cripple to cross the mountain. So there is nothing which is impossible when we get the blessings of that Lord Madhava. Coming to the 9th verse of the Gita Dhyana. Om Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marudastunvandi Divyai Stavai Vedai Sangapada Kramo Panishadeir Gayandiyam Samaga Dhyanavastita Tatpadena Manasa Pashyandiyam Yogino Yasyamdam Navidusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. So the chapter is basically, we have not started the first chapter. These are the Dhyana Slokas coming before the first chapter. In most of the textbooks, these Dhyana Slokas will be there. That's what I said. You can follow any text, Gita textbooks. Even a commentary is fine, but most of the books will have the Dhyana Slokas. If you don't have it, what I will do is I will share these 9 verses. But otherwise, all verses of Srimad Bhagavad Gita remain same, whether you follow Tamil or Kannada or Malayalam or Sanskrit or Hindi. So that's why I'm not insisting any book what you want to use or buy, you can do that. But these Dhyana Slokas will be there in the beginning of the book, before the first chapter. So we are now going through the Dhyana Slokas. So these are the 9 verses. These 9 verses are written by Swami Madhusudana Saraswati. This guru wrote a commentary of Shankara Bhashyam called as the Gudartha Deepika. Before writing the commentary, these 9 verses were introduced. And our Sampradaya, our system, uses these 9 verses as the Gita Dhyana Slokas. And we believe in our system, we always invoke prayers, mantras before we do anything. So as a process, we will do this chanting. We are yet to start. Today we will get into Bhagavad Gita, first chapter. And last session was also an introduction of Gita. Today also we will, what we will do is I will quickly go through the key points of last session and get into the Bhagavad Gita first chapter. So now coming to Bhagavad Gita, before we start the first chapter, and today mostly we will try to take the first sloka of Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the first chapter. The goal of all of us, human beings, all of us, is to have a meaningful life, right? When we say meaningful life, no one wants to have sorrows in life. Everyone wants happiness. In other words, we can say, whatever we do, we seek for excellence. We seek for perfection. We seek for wholesomeness. We seek for a pursuit of, we can say a pursuit of a meaningful life or a higher purposeful life. That is what we all seek. Right? If you see our life also, maybe if you go back few years, at that point of time, the goals, the aspirations, and when we compare now also, we are always aiming for perfection or betterment or excellence in life. Correct? So why we are doing this? In our whole philosophy of human beings, we all want to overcome suffering. We want to be peaceful. We want to be happy. Right? And when we evolve in our life also, we also want to transcend from the mere survival, right? If you see the basic needs of human beings, I don't think at some point of time probably you'll be looking at those physiological aspirations like food, shelter, etc. But at some point of time, you will transcend. Every individual, every human being, if you see, correct? We all will transcend. At some point of time, the survival need will not be important. Then we will start thinking, what is that higher meaning I can derive out of my life? Or the deeper sense of goodness, the higher purpose, right? Maybe the finer elements of truth, sincerity, simplicity, minimalism, doing seva, doing help to others, So that is where the definition of happiness, when we do the transactions in our life also, we redefine the happiness every now and then. So that's why I'm saying we all look for excellence or perfection, and happiness is one of the ways to achieve that. And what are we trying to do? We are trying to derive happiness from the external things. We feel that this happiness will come from the outside. Because when we do transactions in the world and when we get results out of those transactions, we feel that, yeah, I will be happy. That is where we all put a condition. If this happens from the external world, I will be happy. So our Shastram says that this perfection, this happiness is available within you only. You cannot get this from outside. It is not available outside. This is the declaration that Shastram is giving. You cannot get this perfection from outside. It is not available outside. Like in our transactions we say this is not available in the market. Similarly, this happiness is not available in the market, because this is already available within you, within us. Then what are we trying to do? We are trying to do a search, and that search is called as misplaced search. If you have lost your golden ring inside the river, in that water, while you are taking a dip, is there a point in searching that gold ring at your home? So similarly, the perfection or happiness that we all are seeking is from outside. That itself is a misplaced search. Shastram says that your inner nature, your true self, is the abode of happiness, is the abode of perfection. But what happened? This perfection is still there, but it is superimposed, or it is masked by our mind. When I say mind and its influences. The influence includes the upbringing, the traits, the vasanas, the society that you live, the structure that you have in your upbringing, everything. So this already the perfection is there within us, but this is superimposed or masked by the mind and other influences coming. That includes our own vasanas, our own traits, the culture that we are belonging to, the society that we are belonging to, the family that we are belonging to, the place that we are belonging to, everything. So Shastram says we cannot try to get that source of happiness from the objects outside, because they themselves won't last forever. How can you try to get perfection from those things which are not going to last? So this is called as the samsara, this is called as the mental slavery. This is the only issue. Because we are slaves, we are depending on things from outside. This is the mental slavery. So this thinking has to be changed. Right? You don't need to change. Only the thinking that I will be happy if I get these things from the outside. If I depend on these things, I will become happy. If it starts giving results from the things which are done, then I will be happy. Remove this. This is the mental slavery. No dependence on external things for making me happy. This is the condition. When I say condition, it is not a kind of an imposition, because this is illogical also. Imposing non-existing restrictions on the self, you just remove it, because you are already happy. Your nature is happiness, but what you are trying to do is you are depending on external things to make you happy, bring perfection through the external things. That's where Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter says a very profound term called as nirashrayatva, free from all dependencies. Then you may ask this question, so how can I live in this world? Yeah, you can live. You need to transact. Transactions are for the sake of transactions. You don't need to depend on them. So nirashrayatvam and no bandhagarat, because bondages, when you depend on those external things, bondages will come. So no bondages on anything. Don't have any conditions in life. When I say conditions, don't have conditions in life to derive happiness from the external things. Because happiness is soda siddham. This is what Shruti says. So what we need to do is basically nothing. Only we need to have certain discipline and integration. Right? So there is a beautiful analogy. You need to have wings to fly and a route to come back. You are given a long rope, right? Maybe in management we usually use this. A long rope is given to all of us. That rope is long enough, but that rope should have a route. That rope should have a place to, you need to come back, right? When you try to use a rope and do a rotation of an object which is tied on the rope, right? You will be doing like this, and you have the control here, right? Though it is circling, the control is from here. So if you lose this, if you leave it, it will go away. Similarly, you do transactions, you use your wings to fly in this world, but you need to have a route to come back. That is where Bhagavad Gita is called as Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. This is the ultimate teaching that one can get. And if you see Bhagavad Gita in the Prasthanatraya, you must be knowing this, Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita and the Brahma Sutra. Right? These are the three great texts. Upanishad belongs to the Shruti, Prasthanam. We call it as the Vedandam, Apaurushayam. Bhagavad Gita belongs to the Smriti Prasthanam, where we can say Vyasa Bhagavan structured, and this came out in the middle of Mahabharata. So it is called as Smriti. Upanishad is Shruti, Bhagavad Gita is Smriti, and Brahma Sutram is the Nyaya Prasthan, which is logical support to Vedanta. So Gita is the Sarva Vedanta Sara Sangraham. And now, how Gita will help me? This is the question. Right? We all try to think very objectively when I am spending time on a Sunday evening. What is that I am going to get? So Bhagavad Gita will equip us to have 4 qualities. Bhagavan says, first quality as the power of unselfishness. We can see in the subsequent chapters the Tyaga Balam, Tyaga Buddhi. Or in the 3rd chapter also you can see the Karma Yogam. Karma you execute as Karma Yogam. Prasada Buddhi, the Samarpana Buddhi. Or in a very practical way, don't be reacting in life. Don't be impulsive in life. Act in a very methodical way. These are some of the practical dimensions when I say power of unselfishness. One way we can say this is the emotional quotient that we need to have. What is that? The power of unselfishness. The second biggest power that we will derive from Srimad Bhagavad Gita is the power of equanimity. Bhagavan in the 2nd chapter, everywhere you can see all Samatvam Yoga Uchyade. Yogam is all about Samatvam. Or Bhagavan says as the Yoga Buddhi or Sthita Prajnatvam. This is what the inner management that we have to have. Yoga Buddhi, Sthita Prajnatvam. Practically, if you see, the world will give different challenges to all of us, daily basis. World is there to throw different challenges to us. But what you make out of those challenges is 100% up to you. It is 100% yours. Whatever challenges, be it in family, be it in office, be it in the society, what you make out of those challenges is completely with you, 100% with you, with us as an individual, with you. So turn everything into your well-being, irrespective of the situation. That is what is the power of equanimity. But for that, what you need, here in the beginning, the Dhyana Slokas, we saw that the stress and the press, or the pravritti, nivritti. Pravritti is all about acting in this world. Pravritti is all about doing things. Right? You spend energy in this world, deriving energy that is created within and spending in this world. But where the energy should come? The energy should not come from the external things. The energy should come from within. This is called as the nivritti. Pravritti is doing things in this world. This is basically expending the energy. But from where the energy should come? The energy should come from within. This is called as the nivritti marga. So, but if you are completely lost in the pravritti, you try to derive energy from the world and you are trying to, spend and create. That will not happen. That situation is called as exhaustiveness. One cannot have that in life. So the power of equanimity is all about having control of ourselves, whatever challenges the world gives. But what you make out of that, and that control is there within the individual. It is 100% your own. For that, we need to have the practice of pravritti, nivritti. For pravritti, we don't need any practice because we are doing transactions in the world, but deriving energy should happen from within. This is the second learning, or the second great aspect, or the quality that we will get out of Bhagavad Gita. First is power of unselfishness. Second is the power of equanimity. And now the third is the power of righteousness, moral and ethical duties. So that is where, when an individual is moral and ethical, the real legitimacy or the real influence will come in that person. When that person is social, when the person is legitimate, when the person is adhering to moral and ethical aspects of the life, that person will be able to do an influence in the society. That is called as the spiritual, the societal quotient, the social influence that one will derive out of righteousness. Dharma, this is the Sanskrit word. Ajaradi idi dharma. Dharma is not to talk. Dharma is to show or practice. You have to wear it. You have to show that. You have to be the role models. The power of righteousness is the third. And the last great benefit that we get out of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is the power of inner freedom, the inner strength. When I say inner strength, the derivation of the true potential, understanding who truly are you, ability to find the real enjoyment and purpose irrespective of the circumstances. So this is the liberated view of human nature. This is the real liberated view of human nature. We call it as the quality of life, irrespective of any situation. Right? You all will say that the quality of living is improving day by day. This is the age of AI. You get everything except your father and mother. AI will give everything. Be it a design or be it anything, any recommendation. Right? AI will give everything. Quality of living is improving. Quality of living, and I say the technologies, the infrastructure that we have. So, the power of inner freedom. When I say power of inner freedom, the executive functions and the self-regulation. When I say executive functions, the adaptability quotient, the flexibility, the inhibitory control. When I say inhibitory control, the capability to resist the distractions, capability to resist the impulses, capability to plan it in a better way, the capability to prioritize things in life, capability to invest for the self-growth. And when I say self-regulation, manage your emotions, understand the emotions of others, control the impulses, having focus in life, concentration. Because these all are very important. Because when I say this, how many of us can resist the WhatsApp or social media while we do the work? Let us take this example. Can we take a bold decision that next 3 hours I will not, or I will turn off my phone? Because the modern world is completely distracted. The digital detoxification we have to have. So that is where the EF and SR, the executive functions and the self-regulation. And I think most big corporates, for example Google, they do have a program called SIY leadership, Search Inside You leadership. It's all about building more engaged, connected and high performing communities. Right? You also have heard the news that Sunita Williams, NASA astronaut, and the connection with the Bhagavad Gita. See, I really don't know during this mission she has taken or not, but I have seen a statement sometime back. I have seen that when she carries a Bhagavad Gita, or when she holds the Bhagavad Gita, the statement is something like a reflection of the self, a reflection of the life, and the reflection of the world around could be made. One will be able to see the things in a different way. Correct. So why I'm coming to a kind of a very alarming story, because yesterday I was reading the Times of India, and the news is basically Kerala in the grip of surging crisis, drug crisis. Right. Not only Kerala, many states, but Kerala is standing in the top. The NDPS, the narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. Right. You see, when we say the world is moving towards better things, the quality of living, like we can have e-commerce and q-commerce, Swiggy, Instamart to Amazon within 10 minutes delivering things. Few days back I saw a fan company saying that in the q-commerce you can get the fan installed in less than 10 minutes. So whereas in the case of this kind of a drugs and all those complex things, the hyper-local trade is happening, and the children, our own children. So one of the doctors in Trivandrum, in that news, he is saying that Typically, the patients who come for this rehabilitation are less than 20 years. More than 350 plus cases in that de-addiction center in Trivandrum. See, even we might have studied these psychotropic substances like, this meth or MDMA, cocaine and all those, but the modern generation is completely moving or changing. One side, parents like us, we assume that providing financial security is enough. This is the biggest thing. We ourselves are not aware that our children are growing up without these emotional anchors. They are undergoing this isolation, stress, lack of support. I think this question we ourselves should ask. How many of us spend quality time? How many of us do the Sandhya Vandanam? How many of us do those rituals? How many of us are not sitting in front of the TV and watching the serials during this peak time? When we say 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the olden time, people used to do the Sandhya Vandanam. Everyone used to sit together and do this. So here, we ourselves are the reasons. Because we feel that financial security is enough. Unaware of our children who are growing up, what sort of things that they need, right? If in that news also I have seen that the coping mechanism to deal with anxiety and stress, that is what these small children go after these drugs. See, severe disintegrations are happening in the family. We used to say nuclear family. Now I think we can say it's a disintegrated families. So that is where again and again we all have to understand that the Shastra Samhita, the culture that we have, the kind of family backgrounds that we have, India as a culture, India as a country, giving importance to resilience, giving importance to focus, dhyanam, giving importance to self-control, giving importance to gaining the knowledge, self-knowledge. Whereas the world is moving towards short temper, hectic lives, depressions, nervous minds, suicidal behavior. See, despite of the higher living standards, if you see all technological advancements are happening around us. So we have to introspect ourselves. So what Gita is doing, Bhagavad Gita is helping us to improve the quality of life. Quality of living you can buy, you can get things. But quality of life, the responsibility belongs to the individual. It's all about managing the mind, building resilience, building focus, building knowledge, building control, building the self-knowledge, managing from within. The mind has to be managed. Mind management is what Bhagavad Gita as a Shastram helps us. For what? Mind management for what? Mind management to explore the hidden potential within all of us. So here, with this, we will get into Bhagavad Gita today because we are already late. Here, I am not going into the depth of the Mahabharata stories. What we can do is, while we have the subsequent sessions, we can talk more because lot amount of characters are referred here in the first chapter. We will see what sort of traits, what sort of characteristics, and are they only those historical figures. So what I want to say is basically this is not history. We are not talking about history. This is the contemporary science. Sanjaya is the narrator. He is the one who is giving a narration. He is reporting the conversation that is happening between Lord Krishna and Prince Arjuna. So Sanjaya is the He's the advisor to Raja Dhritarashtra, and he is the charioteer. And Bhagavan Vyasa gave a blessing to Sanjaya that you will be able to hear and see the happenings in the battlefield. That sort of a drishti, that sort of a capability is given to Sanjaya, right? So let us start the first chapter, first verse. Chapter 1, Pradhama Adhyaya Arjuna Vishada Yogam. Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveda Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvada Sanjaya. Okay, so now what is happening? This is the question asked by Dhritarashtra. Before we get into the meanings of or the meaning of this verse, dharmam, this is the word, first word, dharmam. So this is all about a problem of justice. Correct? Problem of justice. When I say problem of justice, you might have heard this news, recent news, the bags of money found at the residence of Delhi High Court judge when a fire broke out there. These are the reflections that we have to do as a society, right? People who are supposed to protect the dharma. This is a problem of justice. So here, Duryodhana, if you see, Duryodhana is also well educated. Duryodhana is also a prince. If you see the upbringing of the Kauravas and Pandavas, right? Money is not a problem, wealth is not a problem. So everything starts with Duryodhana's jealous. So Duryodhana's jealousy scheming for the throne. And if you see Duryodhana, his arrogance, his hyperbolism, Bhagavan Krishna tried to avoid the war, right? You can see when we progress, we will also see lot amount of stories, but for the brevity, right? Bhagavan Krishna tried to negotiate to avoid the war. Put up the request like you give a state with 5 districts for these Pandavas. If not, at least give a district with 5 counties, or at least give a village with 5 houses, or at the last, if these all are not possible, at least give a house with 5 rooms for them. So here Duryodhana says that not even a needle point of land I will give to the Pandavas. And in the Mahabharata, there is a verse, Janami dharmam najame pravritti, janamya dharmam najame nivarti, kena abhidevena hridistidena yada niyuktosmi tada karoli. So in the context of Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana, see, they both know that what is dharmam, what is adharmam. But they wanted to be comfortable with the adharma. So they both admit, right? See, there are certain traits which are not allowing me to think righteous. And if you see Arjuna in the battlefield, Arjuna also got a confused mind. But what happened? There is a good association like Bhagavan Krishna who helped to come out of that problem. With the help of a right companion or a right association, the confused Arjuna could come out of the problem. And in the context of Mahabharata, Bhagavan Krishna says, I will join either one of you, Kaurava or Pandava. I will not fight, I will not do anything. And you can choose me. I mean, you have a choice between me, or I will also give my army. Right? I will give the army, I will also join one of you. But I will not fight. I will not even lift a weapon. And here, Krishna knew that Arjuna would prefer his army, would not prefer Krishna, because during a war time, right, when food is necessarily rationed, right, Duryodhana has to feed a mouth like Krishna, whereas Duryodhana selected the Narayani Sena in order to add his army strength. Whereas Arjuna positioned Bhagavan Krishna in front of his chariot. You can see the last words of Bhagavad Gita, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhudir, Dhruva Nidir Madir Mama. The Lord of Yoga, the Lord who is capable to show the direction. Arjuna choose that Lord, where that Lord has given everything: wealth, victory, riches, shreyas and prayers. Right? So that's where again in the Bhagavad Gita you can see another verse, Tameva Sharanam Gacha Sarva Bhavena Bharata Tat Prasadat Param Shantim Sthanam Prapsasi Shashut. So here, what is needed? You need to identify the right companion. You need to identify the right guide. You need to surrender to that guide. You will attain the peace. So here Bhagavan Krishna equips Arjuna to locate the stable anchorage. The confused mind was settled for Arjuna. That is the great wisdom Bhagavan Krishna gave to Arjuna. So Gita as a Shastra helps us to tackle our mind. Our mind, by its innate nature, always go out, always try to see things in the world through the five senses, right? You must be, we all know that, right? Seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. So senses bring this data. The mind creates perceptions without knowing the underlying reality. So these data with the assumptions that are formed in the mind becomes the disturbing virus for anyone's growth. In the last Sunday session, we have seen the Radha Sankalpa. With that, we will conclude today. In the Kadopanishad, the chariot allegory, the Radha Sankalpa or the metaphor, Atmanam Ridhinam Vidhi Shariram Radhamevadu Buddhim tu Saradim Vidhi Mana Pragrahamevacha Indriyani Hayanahur Vishayam Steshu Gocharan Atmendriya Manoyuktam Bhoktye Tyahur Manishina. So the human body is the chariot. The five senses are the five horses. So intellect is Bhagavan Krishna. The buddhi is the driver, the charioteer. The mind is basically the reins that control and directs the five horses, the senses. Here the passenger, the self, who is witnessing the body, mind, senses, Arjuna, who is witnessing this. So whose companion Arjuna is carrying? Bhagavan as the intellect. So with a mind that is associated with the right intellect, will be able to control the horses. That is why Bhagavan is called as the Vijnana Saradi. So the driver, the intellect, and the mind, those reins, both are disciplined and guided. So this life becomes harmonious. The life will have more clarity, life will have more purpose. So Krishna is the key to open the treasure house of Vedas, Upanishad. So here Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya, what has happened at the Kurukshetram, which is supposed to be the Dharma Kshetra, right? What happened? The abode of Dharma, the Dharma Kshetram, and those who have assembled there, desiring to fight, who are they? They are the my people and Pandu's sons, right? What did they do? So that is where the Mamakaratvam is coming. The Mamaka, my people and Pandu's sons. Right? In that Dharma Kshetram, what has happened? Who came together to do the fighting? We'll see the rest of the slokas, probably 2nd to 18 or 19. We can go quickly. We will see this slokas in depth. We will conclude here. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyade Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om.